We start our restoration tour in the Cotswold Water Park, where a Hanson gravel operation has made way for some of the UK's most prestigious holiday homes. The starting price of a lodge on the development known as Lakes by You is close to £1 million, and the top end is nearer £3 million. The quarrying that made it all possible goes way back to the 1950s, though it wasn't until 2006 that permission was finally given for 160 holiday homes plus a hotel and country park. To date, some 70 homes have been built, and the first phase of the country park is complete. There are wide benefits to biodiversity and also to the economy, with £1 million spent every year in the immediate area and £10 million spent to date on infrastructure. This 3-hectare Lafarge tarmac site at Syston in Leicestershire forms a distinct phase in a rather larger sand and gravel working. It was operated for 14 years from 1985 and subsequently restored to create 2 small lakes with shallows, ponds and deeper water surrounded by grassland. Small areas of woodland and species-rich hedgerows have been planted. The entry is a joint one with the Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust, who now own and manage it both for its biodiversity and an accessible outdoor recreation space for local residents. The site is an attractive one and is regarded as a valuable part of the wider recreation and wildlife corridor along the Soar Valley. The quaintly named Little Gherpins site at Rainham was in a sorry state until RJD and its sister company Ingerbourne Valley came along to rescue it. The 17-hectare site had been quarried in the 1950s, but when that ended in the early 1980s, it was covered with only a thin layer of soil. With lots of differential settlement, it was suitable only for rough grazing and was virtually derelict. While permission was given to import inert tipping materials, it wasn't until 2005 that it was acquired by RJD, which set about restoring it using Forestry Commission best practice advice. The site is now occupied by the Commission and is being managed as commercial woodland, but with a network of pathways to enable enjoyment by the local community. Once abandoned, it is now part of the Green Grid strategy between London and the M25. The original plans for restoration of Lafarge Tarmac's Thresfield Quarry in the Yorkshire Dales National Park involved covering the floor with soil and using it for agriculture. But then the National Park Authority and Natural England both asked for a rethink, which allowed nature to take a lead. While the company has planted new trees, created 3 large ponds, rebuilt dry stone walls and created footpaths, much of the rest of the regeneration here will happen naturally over time. Old lime kilns and other buildings are being retained in an area of the quarry that is being leased to a community group for arts, heritage and business uses. The vision is of a place that becomes a tourist venue within the national park, and with 700 visitors turning up for an open day, the community already evidently loves this new asset in its beautiful countryside. The Kettleston Mains Quarry entry from Cemex UK involves restoration in 2 distinct stages. The site was worked for 10 years until 2002, and was fully restored to the satisfaction of the planning authority a year later. Basic grazing land had been transformed into an aquatic and wooded landscape with the benefit of over 36,000 new trees. But then in 2011, the company was approached by the Central Scottish Forest Trust, which offered to work in partnership to boost the ecological and educational value of the site. Funds were raised, and in the months that followed, a further 7,500 trees were added. Wild flowers were planted by school children, and interpretation boards installed. The site is now a real community asset. Restoration of Aggregate Industries' Mill Farm Quarry is a classic example of a local community being given an opportunity to have its say. These photographs show that they got what they wanted. A lake as opposed to the small pond originally planned, plus 12,000 new trees, bird hides, a dipping platform, and paths through which to enjoy it all. It was when consulting over plans for a further phase of its site that created 12 hectares of new habitats and 40 meters of accessible pathways. They have also created habitats for priority species such as otter, sand martin, and red squirrel. Lafarge Tarmack's Ibsley Quarry near Ringwood in Hampshire produced more than 2 million tonnes of sand and gravel between 1991 and 2008. Since then, the 36-hectare site has been restored to a mix of open water conservation lakes, wetland and grassland. It is a wonderful site for nature in its own right, but is particularly significant because of the way it fits into the wider strategies for the area in terms of landscape, ecology, biodiversity, access and restoration. Amongst its accolades was an award from the British Trust for Ornithology for attracting birds. The Ibsley site is a triumph not just for the company, but for its employees and members of the community who have all contributed to the cause with enthusiasm. Quarry restoration doesn't come any more dramatic than the Cold Stones Cut sculpture. Standing 1,400 feet above sea level, it enables some 30,000 visitors a year to enjoy the view over Hanson's Pateley Bridge Quarry in Nidderdale. Chosen as the best public sculpture of 2011, the cut celebrates not just the beauty of the area, but its long association with quarrying. The mammoth structure was commissioned by Hanson and Nidderdale Visual Arts as the crowning glory of a massive 92-hectare screening mound, which was created by moving over 2 million cubic meters of soil. The company also relocated large areas of high-value grassland and created a series of ponds and a marsh area for amphibians. As a result, the restoration is also a triumph in terms of biodiversity, attracting over 30 species of nesting birds. The bold restoration project has made this particular quarry a popular tourist attraction, as well as a popular venue for local school children.